In the heart of the city that never sleeps, beneath the towering skyscrapers and amid the constant hustle, lies a paradox that is hard to ignore. Welcome to New York City, where opulence and poverty meet at the crossroads of dreams.
This is insane. This is fresh. This is good food. This is bags and bags of food being thrown away.
But today we unveil a hidden crisis, guys. A wasteful dilemma that juxtaposes hunger with the discarding of perfectly good meals. They are throwing food away to the tune of $30,000 worth of food every single day. In fact, this is the story of a city's struggle and the people's striving for change.
Yeah, and now we've uncovered a massive waste of food paid for by the public, as one would expect from a sanctuary city like New York. So how is this happening? We're talking bags of food tossed into the garbage.
This in a city where lots of people could use that food. Here's 7 on your side investigative reporter Kristen Thorne.
Workers at the Row Hotel in Midtown say it's a nearly everyday occurrence.
We throw away food that is perfectly fine.
The 1,300-room hotel is being used exclusively as a shelter for migrants, some of whom are seeking asylum.
Today, as the clock ticks closer to the midnight hour, New York City's Times Square gears up for the iconic New Year's Eve ball drop celebration. This is an event that is watched by millions of people around the globe, and the square will soon shimmer with hopes and dreams of a new year. Millions of people's New Year's resolutions may or may not come true, but yet this is tradition. But this year, the city stands under a high alert. Its celebratory pulse is mingled with an air of caution.
Break the law, you're going to have to deal with the New York City Police Department in the process. The New York City Police Department did an amazing job during the tree lighting with individuals trying to disrupt the tree lighting.
In the wake of recent international tensions, particularly with the Israel-Hamas war, New York City has witnessed a wave of protests. In fact, the streets have led to Times Square, often bustling with tourists and revelers who have echoed with the voices of numerous protesters, adding a layer of complexity to the city's law enforcement and public safety strategies.
Well, anyone who's planning to party here in New York City is going to see an increased police and security presence here. Already, there are fences up, there are police officers on horseback, and they're going to have a security perimeter that stretches for several avenues here. And this is because of the two factors, the two issues that you sort of alluded to right there. The first is the very high likelihood that there are going to be protests. That's because we've seen hundreds of protests in New York City in connection to the war since October 7th. 6 people were arrested just in front of Rockefeller Center the other day in connection to all of these protests. And so the mayor thinks there's really no question about whether that's going to happen. It's really a question for law enforcement about how they're going to protect people and make sure people are still able to enjoy the night.
Though there are no known threats of violence on the horizon, thankfully, pro-Palestinian groups have called for weeks for mass protests in Times Square on New Year's Eve against Israel's military campaign in the Gaza Strip, which local authorities remain on high alert.
But the more frightening and harder to plan for concern is that possibility of lone actor, lone wolf style violence that officers are going to be tracking both in uniform, in plain clothes, with drones, with helicopters, with boats out on the water here in New York.
Each day in the busy city of New York, food that is meant for asylum seekers finds its way not to hungry mouths, but to the garbage can. And these meals are just discarded, resources wasted, and opportunities lost. Now, as the federal government announces an increase in SNAP benefits, we do see a glimmer of hope, but it's a hope that's overshadowed by the struggles of low-income families and, of course, families living on Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI, barely able to make ends meet.
To rely on government help to buy food, it looks like some benefits are going up. The federal government, which runs the SNAP program, announced an increase in SNAP benefits.
Now, the new maximum SNAP benefit for one person will be $291, and another example for a family of 4, they'll get $973. Now, SNAP benefits are determined by how much a household makes per month and the number of people living there.
All the while, New York City continues to discard an alarming amount of food. People are hungry. They need help. The food is just being thrown away. It's just not fair. And the financial and ethical implications are profound. Every single discarded meal is just a reminder of the systemic failings and the urgent need for solutions.
We've seen a 90% increase in the numbers.
Shopping carts surge towards bags filled with fresh food at the New York Common Pantry. staff struggling to satisfy the demand of families. Outside, the line has grown longer for locals like Laura Rivera, but they've shown patience and understanding for new neighbors in critical need.
It's not just about the food. It's about mismanagement, poor planning, and the lack of a coordinated effort.
This is overwhelming. Like, we have seen 600 families in July and August. Last year, the whole fiscal year from July through June, we saw 400 families.
The quality of food, distribution issues, and of course, contractual obligations, they're all contributing to this crisis. But this isn't just a story of despair. Amidst the critiques and the challenges, there are those that are actually fighting for change. Community fridges pop up, local pantries work tirelessly, and individuals come together to offer what the city has neglected. These are beacons of hope, showing us that change is in fact possible. I've spoken to elderly folks living on Social Security and other forms of fixed income or retirement benefits, and they've told me that they've worked all their lives, and now they're being told that they owe money because of an error that they didn't make at the Social Security Administration. It's just not right.
Imagine opening up your mailbox one day and finding a letter from the Social Security Administration telling you it's overpaid your benefits by thousands of dollars. Well, the SSA confirms to us that this has been happening and says as a result, it's re-examining its policies.
Barb Marshall was hoping for a comfortable retirement, tending the flowers at her country home.
Dahlias.
But those retirement dreams were shattered when she received this letter.
They told me that I owed them $3,662.
The letter says the agency is reducing her benefits since she receives both a widow's stipend and a small government pension for school library work.
My mouth dropped and it's like, you've got to be kidding me.
We asked the Social Security Administration directly why this happens and how many people are affected. The SSA sent us this release saying, quote, agency employees work hard to pay the right person the right amount at the right time, and payment accuracy rates remain high. It says about 0.5% of payments are overpayments. But the number is higher, 8%, for the Supplemental Security Income Program, which also includes people with disabilities and older adults with little to no income. As to why these overpayments occur, the agency says on its website it can happen if you
The financial strain and the bureaucratic challenges aren't being confined to food alone. Many face the daunting reality of Social Security overpayments, a system that is laced with complexity and very little compassion. They just don't care. The effects ripple throughout the city. Food banks face shortages, food shortages. Families cut back on essentials, and the very fabric of our community feels the strain. Leaders admit we need better solutions, comprehensive reforms, and a commitment to ensuring that no one goes hungry in New York City. But there's hope, a collective call for reform and community action. It's a push for policies that address the root causes and ensure dignity and security for all residents. In a city as rich in diversity and opportunity as New York, the paradox of wasting food amidst the hunger crisis, it just can't continue. It's time for change. It's time for solidarity, and it's time for a new chapter in the story of New York City. As a New Yorker myself, together we can turn the page. It is totally possible. Join us. Be a part of the change, because in New York City, every person, every meal, and every moment counts.